Hey, love bugs. This is your girl JB, and today I want to talk about emotional triggers. What is an emotional trigger? What does it mean to be triggered? Before I started receiving services, I never even heard of the word trigger before or knew what it meant. But once I understood what it meant and once I had the awareness of what a trigger was, then I can remember back on so many occasions and so many times when I was personally triggered, and having the awareness of what a trigger is really helped me to navigate through my day-to-day life and being able to ground myself and feel a sense of calm and a sense of peace and a sense of being here in the present moment when I felt myself being triggered and understanding triggers. So I just want to raise some awareness today of what a trigger is and then give a few grounding techniques that can help um, if you have experienced triggers or if you get triggered, or how to navigate through that when you're in that moment of being triggered. Because even though I'm healthier now, I have so much more awareness of things that go on in my mind and my body, um, mentally and emotions. I still have bad days. I still have days that are not good. I still have days where I struggle. I still have days where things just don't go right. It's just a part of life. And I definitely still have days where I'm definitely triggered. And I don't think in my personal journey I'll ever get to a point where I won't ever be triggered, where I just won't ever trigger me. I think a part of my journey in life is going through life and having those experiences and being able to recognize them and realize what's happening and being able to pull myself back um, together and compose myself, even though I may be experiencing a trigger from a past trauma or something that happened to me. So this comes from outsmartyourbrain.com, and it says when your brain perceives that someone has taken or plans to take something um, away that is important, then your emotions are triggered. You react with anger or fear, then quickly rationalize your behavior so it makes sense. You may lose trust in the person or the situation. So let me basically explain what that means. So let's say I'll use someone riding the bus for an example. Let's say you have two people, they're getting on the bus and the bus is kind of crowded, and one person sits down where another person saw the seat. They both saw it at the same time, and one person sits down, and they both wanted to sit there. A person that may not have any adverse response to that would just say, oh, they got there before me, and walk away, stand up, or find somewhere else to sit if that's possible. But a person that sees that situation and could be triggered would look at that as this person is taking something away from me. And if that person that feels like the other person is taking something away has a lot of experiences with losing things or not feeling a sense of security or safe attachment, will see that incident as a direct insult on them as on their person and who they are. So they may engage in an argument with that person and say, hey, I was going to sit here first. Didn't you see me? I was coming here to sit down and you took my seat. So that's a being triggered, because in their mind at that time, they have to uh, fight for what they feel like is theirs. And so you see that it's very common in our society now, where you see these types of incidents happen almost on a regular basis, but sometimes you may not know why that person reacted that way, where another person would just walk away and not see it as a big deal, and then someone else may react where they verbally assault the other person or even physically assault them because they have been triggered. I've seen the same thing happen when someone goes to the store to purchase something, and their card doesn't work. They're not able to purchase whatever items that they were able to, what they were getting for whatever reason, and they completely destroy the store. Like they tear up the merchandise at the store, they destroy the store, they turn over stands and things like that, because they were triggered and they were upset because them not being able to get whatever it is that they were trying to get made them feel like someone was taking something away from them, and they felt as though it was a personal attack on their being, who they was as a person, and they were triggered and they reacted with anger and hostility from being triggered. So that's basically what a trigger is. Being triggered is basically what happens in the brains. And I'll give you an example from me. When I was a child, very early on, there was a neighbor that was a little boy I used to play with, and he was bit by a dog, his dog, but he was bit, and he was on his face, and his face was disfigured, and that severely traumatized me. So throughout the duration of my life, anytime I seen dogs, especially big dogs, I was terrified. Like I just wanted to get away from the dog. Even if the dog seemed friendly or nice, like on multiple occasions, I was out walking or at the park with my kids, or just in different places where there were dogs, and the dog would run up because it was probably trying to play or friendly or just, being curious. And I reacted very aggressively. I was like, get this dog, whose dog is this? And my response was very aggressive because I was triggered. And so in my mind, what happened is I went back to that time when I was a child and my friend was bit by a dog. And so that's what happens when you're triggered. You literally almost go back to the moment whenever the initial incident happened. You literally go back in your mind to that moment. So even though you're in the present day, and I was at the park and the dog wasn't a threat to me, the dog wasn't going to hurt me or bite me or attack me, in my mind I felt as though it was, and it was real to me at that time, in that moment. And so I reacted in the only way that I knew how at the time, which was to get the dog away from me, to be angry, to be upset, and then to think to myself at the time, why would they let their dog run around? It's dangerous, it can hurt someone. And so now that I have the awareness, and now that I have the knowledge of what a trigger is and what it means to be triggered, and how my emotions play into me becoming triggered, then I use different techniques to ground myself. And basically what grounding yourself means is that you're bringing yourself back to the present moment. You're telling yourself that whatever happened at that time where the incident occurred in the beginning, initially, that you're not there anymore. You're here right now at this moment. So for me, one of the techniques that has been very helpful is the 3 deep breaths techniques. And basically it's just taking 3 deep breaths when you feel triggered. And in that process, you're saying, I'm here, I'm okay, I'm safe, right in that moment when you're triggered. So the triggers can be anything, depending on, each person is different based off of their background or what, experiences or trauma that they had. But those 3 breaths actually reset your system in a sense, because it helps you to know that you're in the present moment. So when I do the 3 breaths, if I see a dog, because I still am very afraid of dogs, I still have a fear of dogs. I still don't like to be around big dogs, even if they're friendly, even if they're on a leash. It's just something about big dogs that I don't want to be around them. So when I see a big dog and I know that I'm not in harm's way, and I feel my adrenaline rushing, I feel myself getting afraid, I feel myself getting scared, I can feel my heart beating fast. It's like, okay, 3 breaths, I'm okay. Okay, I'm okay. Okay, I'm okay. And then I could be like, oh, okay, hi, that's your dog, still a little distance, but now I feel a little bit more comfortable and I'm not like freaking out on the inside, like, get this dog away from me. And I feel a little bit better. But that's one thing that has really helped me. And another thing is just the sense of being aware. So that's kind of what you can do in the moment, right? When you're in that moment, when you are being triggered, like the, illustrations I use for the buzz, or, someone at the store and their car didn't work and then they tore up the merchandise. So those are extreme, extenuating circumstances. But what you can do is, after you use the grounding techniques in that moment, when you are, in your quiet time, when you're back at home, you can kind of sometimes say to yourself or think, okay, what happened? Why did that cause me to be upset? Like for me, the dog situation, I'm aware that I'm afraid of dogs. So if I see a dog, then I know that, okay, I'm going to use my 3 breath technique to help me to be grounded. But sometimes I get triggered, and sometimes things will just make me upset, or I'll get angry about something, or sad, or I just feel some type of emotional surge based off of a situation or incident, and it's very intense. And sometimes I don't know where it comes from in that moment. And so what I do is I'll have to think back to, okay, why did that situation upset me? Why did what he or she said affect me like that? Why did, this incident, why did I react that way? So I kind of have to think about what it is that's causing me to feel whatever emotion that I'm feeling, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's I feel hurt, whatever emotion. And that helps me, because then I can kind of like trace it back to say, oh, this is what it is, or this is why I feel this way. Once I do that, then that really helps me to be able to have a sense of awareness. So if I'm in that situation again, then I can say, oh, okay, now I know why I feel this way. And I feel like I have more sense of control over my emotions. And so I'm not like just overreacting or overly emotional or or angry or upset. It's just I have an awareness of where my feelings and emotions are coming from, and I'm able to better ground myself and better have a sense of feeling more regulated. Basically, what it is in life, whether a person has been diagnosed with a mental illness, or has suffered a traumatic event, or has substance abuse issues or not, in life there is just challenges. That is just what life is. We face all type of things in life. We face hurt, we face disappointment, we face death, we face extenuating circumstances of all kind, financially, just different things. And the things that I'm sharing is just things that have helped me in my life journey to be able to feel a little bit more stable when these life changes happen, because they happen to all of us, no matter what background we're from, no matter where we grew up or how. That's just a part of life. The thing that is important to me is being able to self-regulate. Like I always like to use the illustration of shock absorbers in a car. If your car has good shock absorbers, you go over a big bump, or you hit a patch, a pothole in the road, your car is able to bounce back quickly, rather than someone car that does not have good shock absorbers. You're gonna feel every little bump along the way. So that's the kind of way I look at it. In life, we have different buffs along the way, and I'm just creating content to help build up shock absorbers through life to be able to bounce back or recover or have things that you can use to help you navigate through those things in life a little bit better. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. This is my pleasure and my absolute honor to be, I consider, of service. Using my gifts, tools, talents, skills, and abilities to help and share with others is my absolute pleasure in life, my absolute passion. And I'm so thankful to be able to do that. And as always, this is your girl, JB. Until next time.